Over a century ago, the Titanic set sail on its maiden voyage, full of wealthy passengers and extravagant promises of luxury and safety. But just a few days later, the unsinkable ship collided with an iceberg and plunged into the icy Atlantic waters, becoming one of the most infamous disasters in history. However, even after all this time, there are still those who question the official story. Was the Titanic really sunk by an iceberg, or is there something more sinister at play? Hello, and welcome to The Hidden Agenda. In this video, we'll dive into the conspiracy theories and controversies surrounding the Titanic and attempt to separate fact from fiction in this century-old mystery. But before we start, please subscribe to our channel to get more exciting videos about anything in history. Let us do a quick review of the story of the Titanic. In the early 20th century, the White Star Line, a British shipping company, commissioned the construction of a new luxury liner, the Titanic. The ship was designed to be the most advanced and opulent ship of its time. Construction of the Titanic began in 1909, and the ship was launched in May 1911. It was over 882 feet long and weighed more than 46,000 tons, making it the largest ship afloat at the time. Its first-class accommodations were luxurious, with amenities such as private promenades, ornate dining rooms, and lavish staterooms. The Titanic began its very first trip on April 10, 1912. It started from Southampton, England, and was headed to New York City. It made stops in Cherbourg, France, and Queenstown, now Cobb, Ireland, to pick up additional passengers and mail. The ship was captained by Edward J. Smith, who was one of the most experienced and respected captains in the White Star Line. However, tragedy struck on the night of April 14, 1912, when the Titanic struck an iceberg in the North Atlantic and began to take on water. But over the past century, people have told stories of ominous signs of bad luck that were supposedly ignored beforehand, or spun elaborate conspiracy theories to explain the real reason it sank. Here, we explain the most enduring conspiracy theories and myths about the tragedy. Titanic never sank. What if we tell you that it never really sank? There is a conspiracy theory that suggests the Titanic never actually sank and that the entire event was staged for various reasons. While this theory is widely popular among some people, it lacks evidence and credibility. This theory begins with the Olympian being damaged while sailing from Southampton, England to New York in September 1911 and returning to Harland and Wolff's Belfast shipping yard for repairs. The Olympic went to New York and back after the company fixed it. In March 1912, a few weeks before the Titanic set sail, it went back to Belfast to be fixed up again. The conspiracy theory says that someone or some people decided that the Olympic was too badly damaged to make money, so they switched it with the Titanic at some point. They then dumped the damaged ship on purpose to get the insurance money and, it seems, killed a lot of people. However, there are many holes in this theory. For one, the Titanic had a distinct design and features that were different from those of the Olympic, and it would have been impossible to make the Olympic look exactly like the Titanic. Additionally, the crew, passengers, and their families would have been in on the conspiracy, which would have been almost impossible to keep secret. Moreover, there is overwhelming evidence that the Titanic did, in fact, sink. The wreckage of the ship was discovered in 1985, and multiple expeditions have since taken place to explore and document the site. The stories and accounts of the survivors and the families of the deceased also attest to the reality of the disaster. J.P. Morgan was behind the whole thing. Some people believe that J.P. Morgan, the millionaire banker, was behind the Titanic sinking to take out some of his rivals. The ship just so happened to take the lives of millionaire rivals Jacob Astor, Isidor Straus, and Benjamin Guggenheim. But why, you ask? Well, the conspiracy theory goes that these men opposed the creation of the Federal Reserve, and Morgan wanted them out of the picture. The only problem with this theory is that Astor and Guggenheim never publicly expressed their opinions on the matter, while Straus actually supported the idea of the Federal Reserve. When the Titanic sank, these three rich men did in fact die. Astor was last seen holding onto a raft. Guggenheim, whose body was never found, is said to have put a rose in his buttonhole and said, "We're all dressed up and ready to go out like gentlemen." Straus died with his wife Ida, who wouldn't leave his side when the ship went down. But Morgan avoided death and disaster when he changed his plans at the last minute. But there's more. An alternative version of this theory claims that it wasn't Morgan who was behind the plot, but instead the notorious Rothschild banking family. According to the Washington Post, this is an anti-Semitic trope that dates back centuries, making the Rothschilds a favorite target for conspiracy theorists. In this version of events, the Rothschilds arranged for the deaths of Astor, Strauss, and Guggenheim on the Titanic. The no pope superstition. Another myth says that Catholic workers at Harland & Wolff, the Belfast company that built the Titanic, were upset that the ship's hull number, 390904, looked like it said, "No Pope," when seen in a mirror. The late Titanic historian Walter Lord wrote that he started getting letters from people in Ireland in the mid-1950s telling him about this "No Pope" story. However, Burns pointed out in his 1986 book, The Night Lives On, that the Titanic did not have a number like that. The ship was given a hull number of 401, which was the same as its yard number at Harland & Wolff, and the Board of Trade number of 131-428. Even if one of those numbers had said "No Pope," there were no Catholic workers at Harland & Wolff to be upset by it. In the late 1800s, the company fired all of its Catholic workers, and by the early 1900s, Harland & Wolff were known for hiring only Protestants. The ship was attacked by a U-boat. The theory that the Titanic was sunk by a German U-boat is one of the most persistent conspiracy theories surrounding the disaster. According to this theory, a U-boat belonging to the German Navy secretly followed the Titanic on its maiden voyage and deliberately sank it, either as an act of war or as a way of eliminating high-profile figures who were opposed to the creation of a central bank in the United States. However, there is no credible evidence to support this theory. In fact, there is no record of any German U-boat being in the vicinity of the Titanic at the time of its sinking, and the German Navy has denied any involvement in the disaster. Additionally, the Titanic was not a military vessel and had no strategic value to the German Navy or any other military force. Despite the lack of evidence to support the theory that a German U-boat sank the Titanic, it continues to be a popular and intriguing story and has been the subject of numerous books, articles, and documentaries over the years. However, the overwhelming consensus among historians and experts is that the theory is unfounded and unsupported by any credible evidence. Titanic was cursed. Was the Titanic's fate sealed by an ancient mummy? No, it was due to human error and shortage of lifeboats, which led to the tragic sinking of the ship. Nevertheless, the belief that an ancient curse caused the disaster is one of the more fantastical conspiracy theories that emerged in the event's aftermath. The theory goes that an archaeologist had purchased a cursed, mummified princess and boarded the Titanic with it. However, there is no evidence to support this theory. While the story of the cursed mummy is intriguing, it is simply a legend and not a proven cause of the Titanic's sinking. And that's a wrap. We hope you enjoyed delving into the various conspiracy theories surrounding the sinking of the Titanic. From the idea of a mummy's curse to the notion that the German U-boat sank the ship, there is certainly no shortage of intriguing theories out there. We hope you found this video informative and engaging. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating content. And if you have any suggestions for future topics, be sure to let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.